Hey everybody, Tyree here with Before I Forget, along with Kevin. Say hey, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
And here we are in the July edition of our 20th anniversary uh, of our deployment to Iraq.
Yeah.
And here we are with the Ott. Say hey, Ott.
Hey Kevin, yeah, it's me, First Platoon, 126 Infantry. Yeah, I
And,
was in First Platoon.
and Matt. Say what's up,
Yeah,
man.
hey, what's up, everybody? I was in the mortar platoon at 126.
So for this particular month, things had slowed down quite a bit for us. Everyone, we were not allowed back into the city for the most part, right, Kevin?
Yeah, that's as I remember it. Yeah, we kind of pulled out of the cities in June, and we were mostly just doing patrols out into the great wide open yonder, the middle of nowhere, wandering around the desert, trying not to hurt ourselves.
Basically, trying not to. I really didn't mind doing the patrols like that. I mean, it was nice to go into the city and handle business, but to be away from everything for a little bit and to go out into the reeds and do all that kind of shit, it was a beautiful country to me personally. So to see a little bit more of that as opposed to just downtown funk was actually pretty cool. Like I looked at a picture of a sewer and like they ever have you ever heard like you can't smell a picture?
Yeah.
Like immediately, as soon as I saw it, I had a flashback about being in that fucking city, and I'm like, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that while we were away from, we were banned from the city basically, but it was nice. What do you think?
Well, so we didn't. I wouldn't say we were banned necessarily. So we were giving them the opportunity to run their own country. They're going to have their elections, and we were going to give Iraq back to the people because the mission was was a quote unquote success or victory, right? Because we had captured Saddam Hussein, and at that point, he was locked up down in Baghdad awaiting trial. We're going through trial. Um, but yeah, so we weren't supposed to be going into the cities. And you're right, it was a welcome break from going out on patrols every day and getting shot at and RPGs and mortars and IEDs and whatever else. So here we are wandering around the middle of the desert, finding cool places. I remember there's one place that we called the Garden of Eden. I don't know if you remember that. It was a small oasis, right? It was a big patch of water with a bunch of trees around it.
Mm.
Yeah, so we used to go out there and just sit and chill all day. And that was, I mean, like you said, way better than roaming around the city. It didn't smell as bad. We didn't have to worry about getting blown up. I mean, I guess it was still there, but it never happened really, right? Because to my understanding of it is that they kind of got what they wanted. We were out of their city. We weren't messing with their affairs, and so they just kind of left us alone.
Was it late June or early July when we did the Palm Grove mission? Do you remember that? Where we like almost half the company or half the battalion got put down for heat cats.
It had that.
Oh,
Remember that day?
yeah, that was.
We were working with ODA that day.
Um, I
I
think
think we were just searching for caches. We were just out there looking, and there were some houses in these palm groves, and I had never felt the humidity that I felt that day in those palm groves in the desert. It was crazy.
Well, I know there was a day. I can't remember if it was June or July. Um, so we were out handing out emergency radios and flyers that were written in Arabic, letting them know that hey, like if there's anything going on, anything bad, whatever, like reach out to us. We'll help. Right? If you suspect there's members of Al Qaeda, the Taliban, whoever the shit we're fighting at the time, um, let us know. Blah blah blah. We're your friends, right? We're handing out these radios. I call it the Hearts and Minds tour, which I abbreviated to HAM, um, which I guess is kind of disrespectful in retrospect, but whatever. Um, but you think about like we're out there like handing out radios and flyers saying we're the good guys, but we're all wrapped up in military gear with machine guns and shit. But that was the day that like Tyree's squad, first squad with Sergeant Gill, like they went into that same those reeds and they went down like
Somebody got pinned in a turret that day too, didn't they?
yeah.
Don't remember who it was.
Was that not in your platoon? That wasn't our platoon.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't first platoon. No, I think it was headquarters. Who was the?
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, we'll stop talking. But I do remember somebody pinned in a turret that day, and that was the day we lost. I think 15 people to heat cats because we just were not prepared to be in that humidity.
Yeah. So to break it down, right, that day, we were we were on foot for 12 hours. The only Bradley support we were going to have would be from afar, so we had to carry all of our equipment with us.
Yeah.
So we had to carry excess ammo, our food. We had no water resupply, and that had a lot to do with our supply NCO at the time, not the supply specialist. He was great. The supply NCO at the time, I can't remember his name. He refused to come out. He refused to leave Brassfield more and bring us more water. As I heard, I ran out of water. Like we were, like I said, we were out there for 12 hours. I was like 6 hours in, and I ran out of water on my Camelback. And that's what 1 liter, 2 liters of water. And
Yeah.
30 minutes into mission, that's hot anyway. But I remember we got the last house we got to. I'm just dying, right? I've stopped sweating, right? I am severely dehydrated, and I'm carrying the 240, and I'm carrying about 1,000 rounds of ammo, which is like 70 pounds, plus the gun, plus all my shit. And I sit down on this porch, this last house that we're going to, and this little kid, he comes out and he brings me a glass of water, like ice cold water. And they told us, like, don't drink their water, man. That's the fastest way to dysentery. That is, to this day, the best glass of water I've ever had. It was so good, man. That might have been, like kind of what, I don't know how far gone I was in terms of dehydration, but like that, it could have been the water that saved me from going over the edge.
I remember we were out there running around, and we were in those palm groves, and we were in those reeds, and we couldn't see 1 foot in front of us. We were literally just hand trying to cut through brush, and they would come to a trail, and the ODA guys would just come walking down the trail, bebopping down, and then be like, "Hey, what's taking so long, guys?" And we're like we're hand in hand, like hands across the desert, going through these palm groves, and they're just walking down trails. And it's like, well, I didn't say this, but in my mind, I was like, well, it's probably because we're doing this, and you're just walking down the trails.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad, man. I was one of the folks that fucking fell out of that shit. And I think I was probably one of the first people and everyone.
I definitely had to take an IV that day. Probably multiple IVs that day, if I remember right.
Yeah. It was crazy. Uniform completely soaked, like I just jumped out of a pool, and no water left from our camelbacks, all that kind of shit. And I had a saw, and I was sitting there laying behind it, and all of a sudden I just start fucking throwing up. Like, whoa, I'm like, oh God, this is not great. And I looked around, and everyone else in the squad was like, fuck this shit. So
Yeah, didn't like half your squad go down?
yeah, we were in front of everyone. We were doing the most work. Gil had us out there working.
Oh,
I'm sure he had you out there working. Yeah.
infamous.
He kept going, dude, and hats off to him. It was no way.
Hey, I got a picture of him after that day, sitting back at Brassfield getting an IV from Doc.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I feel like every time Gil's name comes up in this podcast, somebody's gonna have to start a drinking game.
Yeah, no shit, right? And actually, one of the I remember taking that picture because I was like, man, we got to document this. It's not too often you see Sergeant Gill go down.
No shit. He will bury that photo.
So I think it's interesting that you guys are talking about now, like you're finally getting a chance to relax, get out of the city. Like late June for the morgue platoon is when we actually started doing something. So we were like half the platoon was on the whole platoon was on Brassfield, half of it was on the 120 millimeter mortars in case we needed to do some harassment and interdiction fire. And the other half were just waiting to get called out. If something was on the MSR, they're like, hey, mortar platoon, go check it out. So finally, we get told we're going to go down to the IA compound with the other section of our mortar platoon. So we had 2 guns on Brassfield, 2 guns at the IA compound, and we're going to pull security. And most of the time when we were there and we did do fire missions, we were shooting at that island you guys were talking about last month. So we pounded that thing with HE all the time. We put some illumination over it sometimes just to see if there's some people out there. But that whole time, all these past months, really, we haven't really been doing much. And then something switched. They sent us to the Iraqi army compound down there, and we were doing 4 or 5 days out there, rotating back and forth from Brassfield, Mora. into there. And it wasn't that hard of a duty. You'd go there, pull your couple hours of security on the 50 cal on top of the roof, go back down into the room, chill out, relax. You'd have to pull radio guard every once in a while. And that was like the rotation for a good 3 weeks, almost to a month. And then craziness happens. But yeah, up till then, we really haven't been doing much. We've just been relaxing while you guys have been out there, taking the fight to the enemy, and we've just been doing our mortar mission back here, just waiting for calls for fire. And yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, because I mean, I don't guess up until just now, I really even knew what you guys had been doing. We knew y'all were there, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And we would definitely hear you guys returning fire on occasion, and doing some of that stuff. But I never really understood, like, when we would receive rockets or mortars and you guys would return fire, like what, like if it was from the city, like, and let me, I guess you can say it now, but like, when we knew that fire was coming from one of those mobile trucks that they had, and they'd stop somewhere and you guys would return fire, like, would you actually return fire, like HE, into the city?
No, well, so in the very beginning, we couldn't really initially put fire onto where that was fired from. So what they would do is they would send out the FOs, the forward observers, out to try and find these positions. They would mark them, and we'd put them in our mortar ballistic computer. And if we would find, like, that's what we did later on, we would start shooting at those targets. So initially we would find out where they're coming from, and we would, on the map, or, figure out if there was houses around, because even though we were still in like the second rotation of Iraq, they were pretty restrictive on where we could fire. It wasn't like we were just dropping rounds on anything. So I think we got there, and initially they were like, hey, your 120's got to be more than 200 meters away from a house. So we weren't dropping, unless we had to get like some crazy, like the CG's permission to drop something on an actual building. So we were pretty restricted on what we could fire on. We would fire in that direction, and they'd say, okay, it came from the north. We would go, okay, cool. What kind of stuff, what kind of known points of origin do we have from the north? And it sounds kind of crazy. Let's just choose one. And you know what I mean? Like, and hopefully we get something.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm kind of curious about. Like, did you guys have patterns? Because, like in later deployments, we had like, it was 8 o'clock on the dot. We would have like 8 o'clock from this position, and did you guys keep track of patterns for what time things were happening and things like that?
Not so much. I don't think we did so much of patterns and timing, but we knew that it was coming from this direction, so we pounded that island so much, man. Like, I don't know how they could have had anything on that island. I really don't. By the time, even by July, we must have fired at least 50 missions into that place, into that island, and they were still asking us to fire on it. So, yeah, I mean, we kept track of data, but it wasn't like we were going, okay, it's 8 o'clock. I mean, usually 8 o'clock every Tuesday, it gets fired from the north, so let's just fire. But it wasn't anything like that, no.
So the IA compound is going to be a dominant thing in this conversation for this particular show. Tell me a little bit about your first time there, because our last time there is going to be quite different.
So we go there the first time. They don't have much security, and the IA guys, they weren't really disciplined, and it was literally just two. And it was really, even at the end, it was literally the same. There was just two guys with concertina wire at the gate. And then there's other IA guys just strewn out everywhere, laying out, trying to get some shade. We got there and we got the room. We got to pick our room. I don't know who picked this room. I don't know why we picked this room, but it was dead in front of the gate. And there's about 15, 16 of us in there, in the front of the mortar platoon in there. A couple of snipers came with us, and we had a 50 cal position on top of the roof. So we get in there, we bring our 2 gun trucks, we get them set up, we fire some rounds to make sure we're shooting accurately, and then just go into pulling guard and being aware of your surroundings, and hoping your 3 or 4 days goes by as fast so you can get back to Brassfield and get on the phone and do other stuff, man. So it wasn't that crazy. It wasn't like, holy crap, like, what are we doing here? It was like, yeah, okay, cool. We'll come out here, pull security. It's closer to the city. We can affect targets beyond the city now instead of when we're at Brassfield, like right at the edge of the city. So it opened up our ability to fire the mortars past the city. But that was about it. It wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah, it really wasn't. What I remember from like everything was it was a really pretty view of whatever
Mhm.
was the Tigris or Euphrates or was that where that shit meant?
Tigers.
Tigers, yeah.
So it was very pretty. I remember being there for a fire mission that you guys had, and it's crazy at night to watch and hear all these enormous explosions going off. Like
Yeah.
I was really happy, and you guys were really pumped because you guys were like, "Oh, we don't get to do this all the time." So I
Mhm.
personally, I remember that, so that's very cool. But
Yeah, I mean, it's the best. Being a mortar was the best job I ever had, man. Like, it's really, really cool just being around those explosions and how loud it is, and just knowing at the end of 7,200 meters away, someone's getting splattered. Um, to me, that was really, really cool. You know, because it was, yeah, really, really awesome.
Man, I'm sure we've all done it, but like either while we were there or the years following, um, taking a step back from it all and just kind of thinking about like the immense firepower that we had and being so thankful that like, man, like that it's on our side. And the first time I remember thinking this was at the ODA house in June when the AC 130 was firing. And I don't know if I told that story last month. So we're on the rooftop and I'm manning the 240. And so you know how like when we're in town, we if they launched a mortar at us, you could always tell that's what it was because you could hear the launch and then sometimes the whistle or just the impact and you could tell what kind of explosion it was. Or when an IED would go off, you would hear the that comes out of it along with the explosion. And so you could always identify like what type of blast something is. Well, we're on this rooftop and about a block away from us, there's just explosions. And there's no launch, there's no there's no what do you call it? Like that concussion coming out from like an VBIED or an IED. It was just an explosion. And I was like, what the fuck is that, man? Because it was so close and it was so many of them. And this SF guy was going by. I was like, hey, what is that blowing up over there? He's like, oh, that's the AC 130. I'm like, the what? He's like, you've never heard of that? I was like, no, dude. He's like, you know what a C-130 is? And I said, yeah, of course I know what a C-130 is. We came here on one. And he's like, well, take that, clear everything out on the inside, put a bunch of fucking guns on one side of it, and it just circles at like 5,000 feet. I'm like, you mean to tell me there's an airplane with a cannon like circling us right now, blowing up shell around us, and it's not even hitting us? He's like, dude, that thing is so precise. If it wanted to blow up the other end of this building and not even hit you, it could. Precision fire. It can drop around on your face. I was like, oh God, that is badass. And then the other time that it occurred to me is after one of those probing missions that we did. I'm sitting at that checkpoint just outside of Fabre or PB Razor, where that roundabout was.
Mhm.
And there was an Apache hovering right above us, and it just starts firing hellfire across the Tigris into town. And I'm just like looking up at it, like, holy fuck, you know what I mean? It was the coolest thing, man. I was like,
It's
thank
pretty
God these are on our side, man.
We can probably get into it later, but the 177, the armor guys, that platoon that was attached to our company, like they they have definitely saved my ass a couple. They definitely saved our platoon's ass a couple of times. And when we get later on, when we start talking about being in the city, I'd like to get a couple of those guys maybe to talk. But yeah, everything you're saying was amazing because all those resources that we had from air support to tanks on the ground. I would have never thought that tanks in a city would have worked, but it definitely did.
Oh, they knew what they were doing too. Yeah.
So
I'm trying.
also something
Go.
that happened during this month. There's a picture that's going around. You might find me in particular dressed funny.
I'm trying to find it actually. So I've been looking for this whole time.
know you are. So like the joke between the platoons and just really good friends every now and then on Facebook, picture of me holding an AK and the whole Iraqi get up, the whole deal, the head wrap and the
Was that at the compound?
that
Yeah.
was there,
No,
man.
see, I didn't know where that was.
That was right there. That just shows how lax things were. Like
yeah.
Well, so let's backpedal. I don't know if you can see this, but here is my reflection. Here is Gil getting his IV.
IV. Oh
oh,
my
that
gosh.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to take a drink, I guess.
Yeah, right. So so this is the picture that I was looking for. This is that compound for those that are curious.
Yeah.
All right. This is the room where they're all standing. That's where they all stayed. Okay. And I don't have any after pictures from that, but yeah, that whole corner, we'll get into that. But this is the picture, well, one of them, where Mr. Tyree is.
So I have seen that picture before. You're right. Yes, I've seen that picture before.
Well, there used to be a video too, and the video was taken from this vantage point. This is me sitting in the back of one of the Bradleys, the 2.7 track,
Yeah.
and that's of that corner of the building. And I'm recording, and Tyree is walking up, cigarette in his mouth, holding an AK, dressed like that. And you hear Sergeant Baggett say, I shot somebody who looked just like that last week.
I heard that. I'm like, all right, I need to go ahead and get on up out of this. Because Wild Bill has that hair up his ass. Hey, but check this out.
Oh.
The dude gave me these fucking beads and I still got them. Like
That's crazy.
he wouldn't let go of my hand as we're walking around this place. So that was a little weird to me. But when he finally said, here, take this, and I'm like, I gotta give you something. He's like, no, don't worry about it. In whatever, his language. But
So it's hard to tell in this picture, but they are holding hands.
he would not let go.
And so in Iraq, male friends, it was very common for them to be walking down the street and holding hands, right? And so for us, it's like, why are they holding hands? It's a little, but that's just their culture. This is how they are. Now, it's hard to see his face in this picture, but what was that? What was that movie? Euro trip? That Italian guy, Muscuzzi, right? This guy looked identical to that dude. I don't have the picture of you holding the AK, but
It's
but yeah.
right. Somebody somewhere at some point. But that's like a core memory for me for my whole time while I was there, because everyone got to laugh for a minute.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those moments where, like the seriousness of the war and the thought of just dying randomly, you know what I mean? Like it was just fun, right? And what's interesting is these guys that were in this picture and the guys that dressed them up like this, like these were the guys who were guarding and working out of this IA compound, the Iraqi Army compound. I think at the time they were still considered the ICDC, the Iraqi Civil Defense Corps.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, that sounds right. I think that sounds right.
I'm pretty sure it was still ICDC.
Yeah. But that's who they were. So when you look at that picture, they're wearing different uniforms. They're not really organized necessarily. Plus, you got to consider this is after the fall of the Saddam regime, so they're kind of all over the place. Mostly just volunteers anyway. But what ended up happening shortly after this was probably one of the worst fucking days that we had to deal with in Iraq.
I mean, honestly, like, it literally is like the worst day of my life. I was there. It's unreal. I don't really tell the story. When I tell people the story, it's hard to believe. Like, there's no way that this happened. There's no way that I saw and did all this stuff, whatever. So most importantly for me is it's been 20 years and 20 years tomorrow. What's important for me is that we lost 5 young soldiers that day. And 5 young soldiers that could have been amazing people. 4 young kids that could have gone on to be whatever they wanted. A young man who was married and had 2 young kids. I just want to make sure you don't forget that, right? Because I'm gonna tell the story, and there's a lot of crazy things that happen. There's a lot of soldiers that stepped up and did some brave stuff. But I always remember those dudes. I try not to forget them. There are days that I do, and I feel so bad, and I just go back and do research, like, oh God, like just saying their names. So I got off security that night on the 7th. I did the 12 to 1 shift. I got off, went back downstairs and went to sleep. It's pretty normal stuff, you know. I think during the day we pulled 2 hours, and at night we were pulling 1 hour just to make sure people weren't falling asleep up there. So, and I fall asleep, get down to my bunk, fall asleep. And I'm not the super religious type of dude, you know. At that point I wasn't. And something, and this is crazy, man, and a lot of people probably won't believe it, but something told me to wake up. It said, Matt, you need to wake the fuck up. Like literally in my head, I said, Matt, you need to wake up.
Have you heard Mata's story?
Yes, I have. And we've talked about that before.
Like, what is that?
I don't know, but thank God, man.
Because Mata had the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, that is wild, dude. That gives me chills thinking about it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
As he said something, I'm like, I might have said the exact same thing. Something told him to wake up like right now.
Yeah.
Get up.
It said, Matt, you need to wake up. And I usually don't wake up. Like, honestly, like I'm usually there sleeping till like 10, 11 o'clock. When the mortar platoon went there, we got our sleep, man. Like it's just how it was. So I wake up, I was like, man, that's weird, you know. And I look over and I see Sergeant Folsom, is Owen Folsom. He lives in Arizona now, but he was awake. And the small little things I remember, like he was eating one of those Otis Meyer cinnamon muffins. I'm like, Owen, what the like? Why are you eating that goddamn muffin, man? He just didn't answer. I said, hey man.
To this day, I cannot smell. I can't be around those stupid fucking muffins. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your crazy story.
No, you're good.
Fucking those fucking muffins, I fucking swear to God, to fucking throw them out in the fucking trash. I'm sorry.
John is very clearly passionate about these fucking muffins.
Dude, I hate those fucking muffins.
But it's weird. It's weird that it's that specific. Like that point is that specific, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just that I know it's a cinnamon muffin. I know it's crazy. So I grab my stuff, my hygiene kit. I go out, like right outside the door, brush my teeth a little bit, get out my electric razor, start shaving. Notice that the guys are at the gate. It's like, okay, cool, yeah, normal stuff. Go back to shaving again. I turn back, and those 2 guys pulling back the concertina wire. I'm like, huh. And then here comes a white little Ford Ranger, you know, coming in, taking a left turn into the compound, nice and slow. He gets forward to the door, and he pedals to the metal, straight towards the door. I don't know why I did this, but I ran back inside. I don't know why. I don't know if I sensed something. I don't know. But I started screaming, everyone, you need to wake up. You need to get the F up. It's a goddamn VBIED. And I get there, I get to the back, I'm jumping over bunks. I don't know if people wake up. I get to the back of the room, and I hear a thud. And he's come through the front wall. I see him. Clack 2 wires together. And the first thing I feel is dust. I don't know why. It's just weird how this happens. I feel dust. Then I feel heat. And then I feel the explosion. And then I don't remember anything for a couple minutes. That's always caught me off guard, man, because I don't know why I felt that dust first. you know, because I think an explosion, I'm gonna feel the thump of it like right away, boom, you know. But I felt that dust, and then I felt heat, and then it was black. Um, I don't know how long I don't know how I was unconscious. When I came to, I was buried under the rocks of the building. Um, so I dig myself out. Um, hear people screaming, help, you know, get me out, you know, because they were, I mean, we were all buried, you know. A couple of us got free. So bomb explodes, then we start taking indirect fire. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I need to get to the gun. So by that time, like 3 or 4 of us were unburied. Me and Specialist Wright, Travis Wright, went to the guns, and Campbell and Sergeant Broner and Owen Folsom started digging people out. I didn't know I was there. There was something wrong with me until, like, physically wrong with me, until I get to the Fire Direction Center and I get on the radio and I'm asking Battalion if we can fire back at these guys. And I guess the tone of my request was too much for them. And this is another thing that I will never forget. They literally told me, "You need to calm down."
The fuck?
And I have 25 years in the Army, man. I swear to you, I would never been unprofessional on the radio except for this one time. And I said, "I don't think you understand what the fuck is going on. You need to calm the fuck down." Right. And so they tell me we can fire. And I'm doing my stuff on my Fire Direction Center computer. And as I'm looking down, there's just blood filling the computer. So I was bleeding the whole time. I didn't realize it. I had a giant gash on my head. I'm wiping away blood, sending information to Travis Wright, who's on the 120 now. And we know, if you don't know, the 120 millimeter mortar is usually crewed by 4 men, right? The squad leader, the gunner, the assistant gunner, and the ammo bearer. Well, Travis Wright that day, I don't know how he did it. He fired 20 rounds of 120 millimeter mortar by himself. He got up on the site where he's supposed to be, dropped 1 round, moved the traverse mechanism one rotation, which is 5 mils, which is at like 1,000 meters. It's like 50 meters or something like that. It makes a pretty good adjustment. He did that by himself for 20 rounds. I don't know how he did it. Campbell, Sergeant Broner, and Folsom dug all those guys out, man. They saved people's lives that day. They are the ones that found those 5 young kids. You know, and took care of them. And then we start receiving small arms fire. 50 cal position is blown back, but the 50 cal still works. So the guys up there are getting that going. They're running out of ammo. I'm running around getting ammo. And then we're setting up a casualty collection point, getting people ready to get out of here. And we always hear in training that there's going to be times where there are going to be people that are so hurt that you just can't do anything for, right? You're going to have to set them to the side. Set Garnbuck to the side. He had, I don't know how, but he had to get basically a cut from this side of his head all the way back around, almost like the circumference of his head. And they knew that by the time anyone could have gotten to him, he just wasn't going to make it. And having to set him next to a tree and tell him that he's going to be okay, knowing that he's not, is horrible. He made it onto the evacuation, onto the helicopter, and he passed away on the way to the cache. You know, and it's just that kid, man. He was great. He was great. He wanted to get back and go to Ranger school. He wanted to be a sergeant major. He was always talking about being sergeant major of the Army, you know, and yeah, it's crazy, man.
I honestly can't even imagine. You know, we see that stuff in like war movies, and you know, it's one thing to like watch it in a movie, and you know, armchair quarterback basically from the couch as you're watching the movie, you're like, oh, that wouldn't happen, or you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to do this and blah blah blah. But like, damn, dude, like when you're in a situation, it's a completely different ball game, and yeah, that is a lot, and it's also interesting to me that like you and Mata, like the exact same presence alerted you guys to get out. You know, I that is something that will like clearly forever be unexplainable. I mean, unless you're the religious type and you want to pin it on that. I'm not. But stuff like that makes you wonder, right? Like, okay, well, there's clearly something somewhere, because I can't remember who it was that was on the rooftop manning that gun that was up there. Y'all had a gun up there, right? Oh, we lost your audio.
You muted yourself.
It was Gibo, Craig Gibo. He was an old Marine, and
Yeah.
Howard Gee, who was a guy from New Mexico. But yeah, it was those two up there. Yeah.
Well, I remember one of them, it might have been Debo, telling me that like he's like, I don't know what it was, but when that VBIED went off, I didn't feel like I was blown back. I felt like I was pulled back.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and again, it's just one of those things where like, because I mean, that's a very distinct difference in feeling,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know? And so recalling that and then hearing your story and having heard Mata's story, like what what is going on here? That is, I mean, it's
You can't explain it, man.
yeah.
You can't.
Oh, just real quick, Shepard. Like, I just want to thank you because that story, I will listen to this for the rest of the time. Thank you, Tyree, for doing this, and thank you, Shepard, for doing this, because I will never forget this. Just thank you, guys.
Yeah. I think it's very important that we try to get all the angles from everywhere. You know, I had no idea besides what Mata told us happened. Of course, there's other people who made it through, and of course, they have their own story.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear, or sometimes like this is fucking rough as fuck to hear what happened, but it still needs to be said. That being said, uh, you guys are getting attacked. We are back at Brassfield Mora. We kind of hear what's going on the radio, and then, or me personally, I kind of hear what's going on the radio. People are running back and forth. It's like fucking hysteria.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Get to the fucking Bradleys. Get your shit on. Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go. They got fucking attacked. It was a fucking car bomb. I can't remember anyone saying anything at all in the Bradley on the way there. It was just fucking quiet, which makes no sense because you know how loud a fucking Bradley is. And then Kevin, what do you remember? I'll get up to the point that we dropped ramp and saw what the fuck happened, and it was like hell.
I don't think that I was part of a crew that went out there when it happened. I remember being on Brassfield and seeing First Sergeant Veniclausen going ape shit over there on the Alpha Company pad, and I just remember hearing like what the fuck is going on. But it wasn't. I don't remember going out there for a few days myself, but getting out there and seeing even after quite a bit had been cleaned up and that engineer unit had come out there and helped rebuild parts and refortify. Just still seeing, like, remembering what the building looked like before, and then getting out there and seeing what the damage was. But I mean, and and I didn't honestly remember this part until you had mentioned it years ago, but the handprint on the wall was a heavy part. And I do remember seeing that, and like it was a reminder. And we always say, like, when something bad happened, it was like, it was something clicking on or clicking off in our brains, and kind of like us getting more down to business. And well, this, we're not fucking around anymore. When Kreider passed, we're not fucking around anymore. When the ODA house happened, we're taking this more serious now. And I think this event is really kind of what sealed the deal. And I think at that point, like, everybody was anxious to get back in the city and start doing what we do best. And yeah. So like, when it came time, when it came time for Baton Rouge, like, and we'll get into that more later, but like when it came time for that, like, I know it was well thought out and well prepared, and I know we all understood why we were doing it, but I think we all carried a piece of this particular event with us into that city that day, and it was more personal, and it was absolutely wreaking fucking havoc.
Yeah.
And it's, well, I mean, obviously we can't say, right, but like, you just got to wonder, like, if that event hadn't happened, would we have gone in with that same intensity, that same motivation, that personal vendetta kind of feeling? And I don't like to say that, shit like this happens for a reason, but every time one of these bad things has happened, it's either been a wake up call or an opportunity for us to be like, okay, we need to tighten up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, so I view this as like, going on what you're saying, like, this event, as horrible as it was, I think it set the battalion on its path for the next 3 years, right? Because within the first, like, next 2 or 3 weeks, the battalion commander was gone, the battalion command sergeant major was gone, and in comes Shocked and McLaughlin, right? And that just, for me, that's what I see as how things changed in the battalion, was that. So
yeah, Big Mama Army definitely gave us a treasure in those two.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about, before all this happened, or maybe just after all this happened, the argument about why this place wasn't better protected.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, right? And we had been trying since we got there to get those big, I don't know if you want to call them California barriers or Texas barriers or whatever, right? Those big 12-foot ones, right? Well, we finally got one, and we were happy. You know where they put it? In front of the ICDC's door, not ours.
That makes sense. And that's like Tyree said, like, ever since that happened, like, once we like really got to figure out like who was there, why they were there, who was providing outer security for the place. None of it made sense,
Yeah.
really, right? Like, why do we have U.S. soldiers positioned this close to the city, and allowing the ICDC to provide the gate guard for that compound? It doesn't make, like, we didn't trust those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we knew there was corruption within their ranks, and so why was that even a thing? I mean, it's one thing for you guys to have security on the building and where else y'all had it, but if you're not protecting that gate, you know, I mean, if you were, I mean, sure, okay, let's say they still try to bring the VBIED in. I mean, likely it's not going to get past the gate. Likely it'll detonate at the gate. Casualties will still happen. May not have been as traumatic,
Yeah.
you know, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't have happened in the first fucking place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's and I get the purpose of putting you guys there to do what y'all were doing. I understand that. Like, you had better reach, you had a better means for engagement. You could kind of, I don't know, it just, but I mean, in retrospect, like, could the overall mission have still happened if y'all were never there in the first place?
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Probably.
Because I mean, that was the whole point, right? We're pulling out of the city, giving it back to the Iraqis, letting them try to figure out their lives. We knew that they were fortifying and building compounds and arming up and getting ready to go, and, you know, figuring out places to put IEDs and whatever. We knew they were doing that. Like, they had intel that suggested that they were doing that, or that told them that they were doing. We had aerial. I mean, there's the whole fucking point in those probing missions is to figure out where those defenses were. So we knew they were doing that. So was there even a reason to have you guys there? I mean, sure, you are able to do fire missions from there. Totally get it. But on Brassfield at the time, did we not have those paladins?
I think we did.
So, I mean, and I know they have a pretty significant reach, you know. So I just can't help but question, why were you guys there in the first place, you know? And okay, fine, if it's a necessity, why was there not another platoon? Why was there not a Bradley at that gate? Why wasn't there two Bradleys at that gate? Why was the ICDC providing fucking security for you guys? That's insane to me.
Yeah.
Well, I get everything you're saying, and I know it's terrible, but I guess what we're trying to do is, like you said earlier, we're trying to armchair quarterback this. You know what I mean? At the time, we were just, you know, we at the time they were doing what they kind of thought was right. I mean, even Colonel, you know, we talked about with Colonel Dragon, you know, I mean, Shepard, I don't know if you know this or not, but I think I was on PSD with Colonel Dragon, and he would come down there, and I think he had told them multiple times they need to reinforce that compound. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 95% sure that's why they got fired the next day.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
I think.
I mean, that's good. I mean, so that's good you say that, because honestly, for this whole time, I thought it was Dragon that was saying no. That we thought at the compound in the platoon that Colonel Dragon was saying no. You don't need that stuff. Everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, he was adamant about that, and like I said, I wasn't in the know, but I was in the kind of know. You know, like right behind the know.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the reason why they were gone the next day. It's because he kept saying, and even Brigade Sergeant Major kept saying, like, you need to reinforce this, and that's why they were gone.
So check this out. I had happened to be around in the area when, I want to say, some commander of some sort with the Iraqi ICDC folks and some first sergeants or sergeant majors were having a conversation with this guy, and some fucking fists were thrown. It was pretty cool. Like, I know not a lot of people know this, because I'm like, maybe me and one other person actually saw this happen. They were screaming about, we told you to fucking take care of this. We told you this is gonna fucking happen. Um, the commander from the other side, it almost seemed like he didn't care, or he was like kind of nonchalant, like, "What do you want me to do?" And somebody fucking popped her right in the eye, and the 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 black first sergeant, tall one, fucking country as hell. I don't know if you guys remember him from 126. He was with us before we went to, and not a first sergeant. Maybe he was an E7. My bad.
Was it Kwashi?
No, not him.
Was that Sir Kwashi?
No, 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 not him.
Oh, Sir Kwashi was no, like you do not mess with Sir Kwashi.
No, you-
Kwashi's like Sir Gil.
talking about he was a big tall dude, like E7. I forget what platoon he was with. Big old feet. Like every now and then he would say cadence when we're walking. It just sounded like crap because he, like he was there where he watched it too, and later on when we got back to our area on the pad, he like walked up to me and said, "Don't say shit about that to nobody," because he's like, at that particular time, it was fucking some painful shit just happened. I don't think he would want, or he wanted me to like blurt it out to folks like, "Oh man, I saw these motherfuckers go back."
Was it the Sergeant Major who did it?
Was it Womack?
No, not Womack. But as Sergeant Major did strike the Iraqi dude.
Yeah.
Fucking laid him out.
And
Very well deserved.
Deserve more than that.
Yeah, he did. Lucky he got just that.
Yeah, I'm Johnson. I'm kind of with you. We didn't get out there until it had. I think I feel like it was like 48 hours after, maybe 24 to 48 hours after. I know we didn't jump in the trucks and get out there immediately.
Oh no.
Do you remember, Tyree? Were you there when it like right after it happened? Because I know First Platoon did not get out there until probably like I would say 48 hours later.
We were there a little bit after it happened. Shit was still smoking.
Yeah.
If serves correct.
Yeah, First Platoon didn't get out there for at least 48 hours. I think.
I remember seeing Webster like bloody hands digging. That was the first thing that I remember seeing. It like fucking burned a hole into my memory. And then that fucking bloody handprint on the wall. Just walking around seeing what the hell just happened. There was still some small arms fire going on. The indirect fire was coming, but as usual, they're missing left and right. But who knows? This day they could have been lucky. So it was just a hurricane of fucking hell. Dude, I was not prepared to see what I saw when that fucking Bradley ramp dropped. Like quiet, but fucking insanity. You know what I mean? Like we had some fun times there. Like I walked around dressed like an idiot. We had a blast, dude. And then it's fucking gone. People we know,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
people we know are gone.
First Platoon, we had never been there. Like, because we did PTSD, we did PSD, and then we came to Brest. So we had never been to that site. So it was, like we got out there and we're like, oh, this is like, we had no idea what anything looked like or anything like that. And then we got out there and it was like, okay, well, we'll figure it out. But yeah, we had never been there before.
Yeah, it was that was war right there. That was fucking exactly what I would expect from war to be. Like you have to tell them, hey, you're gonna make it while you lean him on a tree. And you got to go back to doing your job while he's slipping away. It's fucking insanity. No one should fucking live that kind of life. No one should have a story like that, but unfortunately, you do. And it's important that you tell it. And after everything was all cleaned up, you know, it got really serious with the security. There was a bunch of reeds behind this place that had to be cleared. Absolutely had to be cleared. So we tried everything from gasoline, trying to burn these things.
Well, let me go back 2 steps,
Okay.
because that day that we arrived, we got out of our Bradleys and we came in. We didn't really get to get out of our Bradleys because they put us on corners, and we sat there and we just watched for, I think, 24 hours. I don't think I've ever spent 24 hours in Bradley before, in July,
Ugh.
in Iraq. But it was terrible. It was probably, I mean, it wasn't great to just sit there. I remember we dropped the ramp as kind of night was falling, the night that we got there, and myself, Sergeant Mac, and Sergeant Duel. It was either Sergeant Duel or Sergeant Humphreys. I can't remember if we had switched over between Hump and Duel, but for some reason I'm thinking it was Sergeant Humphreys. And then we sat out there for a couple minutes and we were just talking, and there was a crack and a hiss, and something came between me and Humphreys. And I was like, "Oh man, we're getting shot at." We were getting shot at that night that we arrived, and we were trying to post up on the corners of the compound to kind of get that level of security going. I also remember there was that white truck that was sitting right at the entrance that had been shot up by a 50 cal. Do any of you guys remember that truck?
Yeah, I remember it because later.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we don't want to talk about what, yeah, what had happened to the truck, but it was shot up, and there were things in the truck that, yeah, it took a while to get rid of. But yeah, that first day there, and I remember waking up the next morning. Well, we didn't really wake up. We just sat in the Bradley all night and would get out from time to time, and we were getting pot shots taken at us. And then the next morning, I remember getting out, and it was so hot that the asphalt was melting around our feet. And then Sergeant McKinney said, "Hey, you're going on leave for 2 weeks." And I was there for I came home for 2 weeks, and then I was there for the second half of July. So, but yeah, we were definitely taking pot shots. They were definitely taking shots at us throughout the first couple of nights we were there, or the first night we were there.
Yep.
I had
Well,
heard Lieutenant Gunther. So he
Yeah.
was out there. He was out there too, right?
Yeah, he was.
Eh,
He just just got him. He was like new platoon leader. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had just got because he was mine and Tyree's PL,
Yeah.
and we got Lieutenant Westling. And then yeah, Gunther had just been there. I mean, like, we're not even a week,
Yeah,
2 weeks.
it wasn't
Yeah.
that long. Yeah.
But I had heard. So let me rewind to when we first got Lieutenant Gunther back in Germany. I remember looking at this guy, and he's very fair skinned and he looks very fragile,
yeah.
and I was just like, "Oh, come on, man, like, we're gonna go to Iraq with this guy? Like, he
I
does
mean,
not look the
he
part."
came, he came to the mortar platoon, and everyone's like, "Look at this fucking nerd."
Yeah. And and I knew that he was prior enlisted, he was a medic, and that he had branched infantry. Uh and I was like, okay, well, at least he was a medic, so he probably, he probably has some balls, right? And when he ended up, he was a great PL for us. Like, when we lost him to you guys, I was sad about it because he was a great guy, great leader, knew what he was doing, did not mind getting dirty, being in the work, right? And then we get fresh faced Lieutenant Westling, and we're like, oh, come on. But he also ended up being great too, so we got lucky there. But when Lieutenant Gunther had gone to you guys, and when this happened, I remember hearing about the things that he had done. Um, how he was trying to help, and putting to use his medic training,
Mhm.
and doing what he could. And apparently, I had heard that he had refused medical treatment until he knew all of his guys were accounted for or safe.
I'm sure that's probably the case. That's the type of guy he is. Like, honestly, the last time I saw his face was probably 10 o'clock the night before. He always stayed out in his Humvee next to the fire direction center in case we got a fire mission. And throughout the hectic of running back and forth, I don't remember seeing his face.
Yeah.
So I don't. I mean, knowing the type of guy he is and how much he cared for people that he just knew, just getting to learn and to know. That seems about right.
Yeah. Yeah, I had heard that he had, he was bleeding from his ears and concussion, and he wasn't there in the building like you said when it happened, but I was, I remember hearing that story and be like, yeah, that tracks. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's Lieutenant Gunther.
yeah,
Last I heard, he's a full bird now.
yeah.
So you guys lost Gunther to mortars,
Mhm.
and right at that same time, we lost Sokol to scouts.
Huh.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's kind of yeah. It's just a thing. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I think they kind of just threw those guys, yeah, where they kind of needed to be. I didn't know that. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we in the mortar platoon we always thanked you guys. We never said it out loud, but we always thanked you guys of sending the mortar platoon your best lieutenants, because we never had to worry about a butter bar coming in. It was always the best lieutenants in the battalion. We knew we very rarely did we get a bad one, and if it was, he was gone in like 6 months to the S3 shop. So, you guys did great down there, getting those guys ready to be a mortar platoon leader. I
Well,
really appreciate it.
I mean, like to piggyback that, like we lost Sokol, and then we got Weissman, and oh god, I love Weissman to death, and like yeah,
he's a full bird now, also.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, I just didn't know that we lost both those PLs about the same time.
Well, and didn't Sims come from the mortar platoon?
Sims did come from mortar platoon.
He came from 177's mortar platoon.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and we were
Not from
terrified
ours.
because the last mortar. That's another story for another day.
Yeah,
I'd like to get a show with all the leadership.
Oh, I know, man. That'd be cool. Like get their insights and like
yeah.
I mean,
things that they definitely know that we don't know.
Lieutenant Gunther, but like if you look at Captain Rock, like he didn't look like that. Like you look at First Sergeant Vanderglazen, I
was scared of that dude.
Yeah. I never talked to him directly, and I was scared of that dude.
He's your typical like, oh man, he will do some things. But like, we had a lot of like, Captain Rock was like, he wasn't like he wasn't big of stature, but damn man, he was the best leader I ever had. He was the best. He was the best.
He was quiet.
Yes,
he was quiet, and you can tell that in he was a tactician. Like he fucking knew exactly how to maneuver, when to maneuver, what to do. He saw the battlefield. It's almost like he had foresight. And if you hear Youngblood tell about when they're in the truck together and shit's going down, how he is able to just communicate all of this information over the net, various different nets, and track each one of those conversations, like recalling which routes we're on, which routes to go down without even looking at the map. I mean, this guy just he had his PhD in what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? Like he just knew it so well.
Yeah, it's like the Tony Hawk of the infantry.
Yeah. First RV, man. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I do remember hearing the story, and it always just like I was like, God damn. And I don't remember what fight it was, but it may have been after Baton Rouge. But I do remember hearing that he fired an AT-4 from the street into a house where bad guys were camped out. And he's just like, they're having a hard time, knocking these dudes out. And he just pulls up with the fucking AT-4 and just right into the house. So like, I want to do that.
And it's funny that we kind of have these same stories about, these same war stories that keep her like, almost like talking about Band of Brothers, like, oh, this person is larger than life, and things like that. I mean, we still have those stories,
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Even back in Germany, so we're out there, Bravo companies in formation. You hear Alpha in formation just kind of behind us, and you hear First RV just going fucking ape shit on those dudes. We're like, thank God that's not us. Holy shit. But then again, we had First Sergeant Salinas, who was literally crazy. Yeah.
Hey, Salinas almost kicked me out of my promotion board, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because my sideburns were almost at the lower opening, and he's like, I don't know if I want to make you an NCO when you're already trying to push the limits and you're not in charge of anybody yet. I was like, come on, man. Like, Well, he passed me, thank God.
Where was that 5 board? That was at the
In Germany.
okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was I
Or
went to
no,
that.
yeah, back in Grafenberg it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I went to that 5 board when we were in Iraq, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, so we're in Iraq, we're definitely in the middle of combat, so it's going to be a lot of like combat-based scenarios and questions and things of that nature, like how to lead troops and shit like that. Fuck no, dude, it was still regs, and I remember getting the question, when should you wear your dog tags? Um, who is the first person to get into a military vehicle? I'm like, what the fuck are these questions?
I feel like this is an outtake, but like, yeah, I did my 5 board in there with like Vanderklausen, McLaughlin, Abby. I think Abby was there. I can't remember. Oh, and Sergeant Sergeant Major Sims was there. Yeah. That was terrifying.
I did my board and they laughed me right the fuck on up out of there. Questions I was fucking out of there.
McLaughlin is also on my list of people that terrify me to this day.
Yeah, singing the first ID song and the army song.
Oh,
I'm like, did you guys want me to wear my greens in here too? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I remember sleeping. I had the best. This is probably such a tangent. I had my best set of DCUs that I had, and I put them underneath my bunk to try to press them as best I could. Yeah, for my board. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's
So
funny to say. It's funny to say my best set of DCUs because they were all shitty.
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, it was the only set that I had that didn't have. I hate to say it, but the only set I had that didn't have blood all over them.
Yeah. It was a mess, and I just couldn't believe that. Like, I went to that board and those are the questions that they asked, and I'm like, not one combat related question. I don't know how I passed it because I did not prepare for that. So I mean, I had the little printout or whatever that they had. Like, here's some things that they may ask you, and I'm like, okay. I think one of the questions was like, how far away should a latrine be from a water source, like a potable water source? I was like, if where we're living,
They're not following the regulation right now.
fuck no, you know what I mean? And I remember thinking that too. I'm like, okay, wait a second. Those are the showers, and that's the water tank, and those are the latrine. Okay, I think we're definitely violating some rules here.
Burn shit, probably about.
Burn shit, probably.
Oh, sorry, we got you guys. We got totally off tangent.
I mean, it's good. That's how it goes, man. But
got to start.
Well, we get to like mid-July, and I got back from leave, and things were already popping. Like first platoon, we had our own little section of Razor. When did we start calling it Razor? Do you remember? Or was it always called Razor? I don't know.
No, when it became a patrol base, when we started fortifying it, it became Razor. But prior to that, it belonged to the ICDC.
Okay.
Yeah. So when like in individual within the platoon and back to the fire observers back in the S3, we always called it Firebase. We called it Firebase Razor when we make it radio them. But it wasn't anything like official. It was just something we decided we were going to do one day. We're like screw it, let's see if they say something, and they never said anything.
So where did y'all come up with the Razor? Did you just start?
Oh, because that was our call sign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I did not know that at all. All right.
Yeah. Well, that it actually makes more sense to keep it PB Razor, in honor of you guys and those dudes. So that's cool. Yeah. I didn't know that. So
I got back off of leave, and the palm groves and the brush behind Razor was already the Operation Clear the Palm Groves was already in effect around July 14th when I got back. Yeah. And we spent a lot. It was almost like we did I think we did 6 hours on guard, and we did 6 hours of sleeping, and then we also did like 12 hours of palm grove removal.
Well, and so the whole reason that started became a thing, from what I remember, is that Mr. Bad Guy would row his boat on down the Tigris River with AKs and try and take pop shots at us from the river, which seems like a terrible idea because it's like you're in a rowboat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to get away fast. There is no quick extraction from this point. But they wanted us to clear those out, and so like Tyree was saying earlier, we tried everything, dumping JP8 fuel on them and blasting them with incendiary grenades and shooting them with 40 millimeter Illum rounds, parachute flares from the 203. That wouldn't ignite because they were so wet. We were out there with machetes, chopping them down like reed by reed. That's when Iribi gashed his fucking arm open. Y'all remember that?
No, I definitely remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, go into a slash and a reed that had previously been cut and was a sharp, jagged edge.
Yeah.
Right in the arm, ripped him open.
I
Finally,
remember Toon Sergeant out there with a with a nozzle from of just a not. It was almost like he had a gas, like a gas nozzle that you would have when you go get fuel from a car for your car, and he was just spraying that stuff everywhere.
yeah, they tried all kinds of things. Finally, what ended up working was big sheets of plywood, and that we would just stand them up on the plywood and push them until we could climb up them, and then we would jump on them until they were flat. And we did that until they were all laid out, one piece of plywood at a time. Obviously, we had several pieces of plywood. And so these reeds, they weren't just on the shoreline of the river. They were into the river, like 20, 30 feet. And I had done one, and I guess I had miscalculated like how sturdy it was. And so I was jumping on it, and it just collapses. And I fell into the river. And it
I
was
definitely fell into the river
disgusting.
also. Yeah.
Disgusting. Because I don't remember.
How
I don't
many
know.
of our people fell? What was it that you said, John? Was it the Tigris, or that you were afraid you said that?
The Tigris.
So I don't know how many people of our company fell into the Tigris.
Yeah.
But a lot of us did.
Well, and so I don't know if you guys all heard the same story, and Matt, maybe you have more insight because you were there with the ICDC. But I remember hearing that once upon a time, this place was a jail of sorts, and whenever somebody was considered to be guilty, they would just take them out to the water line, pop them in the back of the head, and dump their bodies into the Tigris. And if you remember, there was in some parts of the Tigris River, there was this black stuff just kind of floating up to the top. This like kind of disgusting, almost looked like an oily, cloudy substance in the water. Do y'all remember seeing that?
Shit, man. It's no picture.
I don't remember that. No, but I mean, it sounds like something that would happen.
Well, when I fell into the water, that was my first fucking thought. I was like, I'm in this fucking dead people stew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And if I have a cut on me, I'm definitely going to get like the
yeah.
worst case of MRSA or something.
Oh man, you survived. That was fun taking those down though. I remember jumping off the side of the building onto the top of these fucking things, fucking slamming into them. It was like some WWE type shit. So working on from there, I'm assuming that's when Operation Baton Rouge, the concept of it, not concept, but starting to get the wheels rolling now because of this particular. So from there on out, basically we're getting ready to go back into the city. There's really no.
I mean, like we were like chomping, like let's fucking go.
Well, and the rest of July was really.
I mean, I'm sure you guys were too, because we've talked about it. You guys, Johnson, you and Tyree have talked about it, and like we were just like, let's fucking go.
Yeah. Well, in the rest of July. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Sorry about that. Yeah, at that point, like, we had, and this is jumping ahead, but I was trying not to say so much. We didn't go back to that place until Baton Rouge happened. So we knew we were going out there, and we took the whole platoon out there. So we took all 4 guns, and we were prepared. We got fresh, new, uploaded with rounds. We were ready to go to get out there to hopefully drop some 120s on some dudes' heads, So, I mean, we were prepared to go. We wanted to go. We were itching to go because we wanted our chance to get some revenge and some retribution, So it was interesting times after that. So I went on leave, came back just like you ought, and we came back and we wanted to go there and we were ready.
Well, so that was kind of was going to get to. So I know what we were doing after that. I mean, we were out there at Razor, and we were, rebuilding, refortifying.
Mhm.
Those engineers had come out. I believe they were a National Guard group. But what did they do with you guys after that? Like, where were y'all
So
then, and what mission? Which were y'all running missions? What were y'all doing?
we went back to what we were doing before. If something was going on out in the MSR in front of Brassfield Moore, they were sending out to check it. And then we were sitting on 2 guns, ready to do harassment and interdiction fire, and that's what it was until it was time to prepare for
Hmm.
whenever we did the next thing.
Did they pull the rest of scouts to do PSD for command group? Because I remember I thought that's what they had done.
Yep, they were.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, so back at Razor. So I mean, again, when I say they're refortifying it, so the original compound itself had a wall, a cinder block wall, basically.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, that was really it. So when those engineers had come out there, I think they brought out the earth movers, and so you had your 12 Novembers, the ones that with the dozers and everything. I think that's primarily what it was. And they came out there with all their equipment, and we had, when it was done, I mean, there was like an outer barrier, an inner barrier, ESCOs all around the building, Jersey barriers, T barriers, whatever you want to call them, the tall ones, the short ones. The roof was refortified with sandbags, um, concertina wire on everything. Snipers had multiple locations that they could be set up in. That place turned into a proper compound, as small as it was, and it was in a very unique place. And I don't we kind of covered that, but so coming into Samarra from Brassfield, you had to go across a dam.
Mhm.
And once you cross that dam, it was a pretty lengthy road, probably quarter-mile long. There was a roundabout, and past that roundabout, going straight, was the entrance to Razor. And then if you kept going, it was another dam that went into Samarra. And so Razor was on this like small patch that was not quite in the shape of a peninsula, but like it had this like almost like a 90-degree patch of land that kind of stuck into the Tigris. And so there was obviously land across the Tigris, and then going this direction, and then over in the other direction. I believe that would have been probably northish, northeastish. That would have been more, or even east, directly east. I can't remember, but that would have been just the edge of Samarra butted up against the Tigris. And so, and I know that our snipers, even after Razor was established as a patrol base, they still had work to do. And I remember them, talking about how, they were constantly taking shots at dudes trying to sneak across the bridge to come to us, or guys popped up in some building across the way with RPGs ready to fire on us. So I know
Yeah.
that they were busy.
Little shot. There were always little shots coming all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And I know, so we had a dog out there. And she ended up being a great asset to us, because there was one night, I guess somebody was trying to scale the wall on the backside of Razor that butted up towards the river, and she alerted, like she was going ape shit. And the snipers, this is at night, the snipers happened to like, oh shit, there's somebody climbing over trying to climb over the wall. They pop him. And so the dog ended up being a great help. And then when the engineers left, uh somebody cut her throat.
Yeah.
Yeah. She came in, we were all set up in the building, and she had come in, and she was very quiet and just kind of had her head down, but there was a trail of blood.
I very
And
remember this now that you're saying it. Yeah,
she had
I
come
had
in,
not read this at all, though you're just talking about it.
yeah, she came in, small trail of blood, and Captain Rockefeller took her out back and put her out. And I guess from what I remember hearing, it was somebody in that engineer unit had cut her throat before they pulled out. And last I remember hearing about it, Captain Rockefeller was had his own personal war to find that person. I don't know what happened after that, or if it was ever resolved or whatever, but I don't believe it was an Iraqi person because they weren't allowed into our compound, and she stayed in our compound. Like, we fed her, we petted her, you know what I mean? Like, she was our dog.
God, I don't even remember that until you just talked about
Mhm.
that. Yeah, I completely have blocked that out or just forgot about.
Yeah, I was sitting on my cot, and she comes walking right past me. I go to pet her, and she just keeps on going. I'm like, what the fuck? And then we see the blood. Yeah, yeah, that was a pretty shitty thing for whoever that did that to do, but yeah, Razor was an interesting place. I don't remember getting a lot of sleep there. After, when we were
We got
there.
eraser.
I remember one night we were like, hey, like, so we're bed down. We wake up is at whatever time it was, like 4 hours from now. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna get some sleep tonight. 4 hours. And this is when we finally had, because when we first got out there, we were sleeping on the ground, and then they got us these bunk beds, but no mattresses. So we're sleeping on the metal rungs. So finally they got us plywood, and so we were sleeping on that, and then eventually we ended up getting cots, and so we were sleeping on those. But I remember thinking like, oh fuck, 4 hours, hell yeah, man. And it just so happened that night I had like the worst infestation of sand fleas on my legs, and I was dying itching. Like I scratched my legs like they were bloody when I was done, and I only ended up sleeping for like half an hour. I was so pissed.
When I think about Razor, I that whole month of July, I just it was very somber. It was very it was very dark. Like every day it was like you just had like a weight on your head. I don't know if that means anything or anything like that, but like it was a place where a lot of terrible shit happened, and like every day and every moment it seemed like there was like this yoke on my head. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
It was like this, like it was like, oh God, I kind of feel like we shouldn't be here. I don't know. I mean, that's just me, but like I felt that the whole time we were at Razor, I just felt it felt like there was a heavy weight on my back.
Like, yeah, I could say it. See that? Like anytime after it happened,
Yeah, it was just
it
like
raised it quite a bit.
walking
Yeah,
down. There was that long hallway.
it's like ghosts.
We had our yeah. It was just I don't know, man. It was foggy. A lot of that last bit of that month was foggy. It was like, oh God, why are we like I don't know. It was just a heavy weight. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, on that note, the heavyweight of June or July, we're gonna go ahead and let this one go. At 20 years later, we're always gonna talk about it and never forget anything. But next month we go on to August, and what the hell happened in August? I don't remember.
I
Dude,
mean,
I
so
don't remember.
August, yeah,
Next month,
August and September, we were at Razor pretty
Or
much
like
nonstop, and we were doing those probing missions into Samarra across the dam. Building up to, I mean, obviously higher up is finalizing the plans for how we're doing Baton Rouge, which apparently was the first of its kind that
Mhm.
that type of um can't think of the word. Um, but
it's Vietnam.
yeah, and actually, and so, and you hear a lot about, like, on social media, like on the military ran or the veteran ran pages that are out there, that they always talk about the battle
this or
of
that.
huh
Oh, like the battle of this or that, like the battle of this thing or something like that.
yeah, well, the Battle of Fallujah in 2004 in November.
Yeah.
They talk about that a lot, and rightfully so. They should, because the Army guys and the Marines that were there, I mean, they took heavy hits. But what I don't think a lot of people tend to realize is that Baton Rouge was the test to see
Template.
if that type of
That's the template
um,
that could work. Right.
yeah, to see if it would work, to see if this type of military engagement maneuver whatever could work in retaking a city because it hadn't been done before. And so we were the guinea pigs. We were just, to see if that would
Yeah.
fly. We had decent success. I think they called mission complete basically after 72 hours. And Fallujah is a much larger city than Samarra at the time. So, theirs obviously lasted much, much longer. And they sustained way more casualties than we did. But um, it's just kind of an interesting thing. And to be a part of that, and then to do those probing missions, I thought that was perfect, pretty genius, because I mean, we obviously had the AC-130s and drones flying above, and we're doing these probing missions in the town to see where they're set up, where they're fortified, where their defensive positions are, where they're firing from, and that led up to the 500-pound bomb dropped on that. I guess it was the Iraqi police station.
Didn't the Army guys do like a small gunnery between like July and October? Maybe it was before. I don't know. I don't know what the armor guys were doing on Brassfield.
I don't know.
It's something to talk to Roja about maybe sometime.
They're probably back there polishing their barrels. If you know what I mean.
With anybody from 114 from Hawaii that was attached to?
Yeah, so we actually have a couple of guys, and we have a separate chat on Facebook with them, and we're going to be bringing some of those guys in. I just so happened to come across in the Operation Iraqi Freedom Facebook page, somebody had commented, I don't remember what it was, and I was like, oh yeah, man, fucking Samarra 04, and I saw another dude post on it, and I was like, well, who were you with? And he was like, 25th ID. He's like, oh shit, were you one of the dudes that went into Samarra in October? He's like, yeah. I was like, we got to talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting their story on it, because, I mean, you got to think this is like a platoon or company, whatever their size was, of light infantry guys. They're in Humvees and they're coming into this town. I do remember one of them talking shit, saying like, "You guys, the only reason we're here is because your Bradleys couldn't handle the combat, so you needed us light boys." And I'm like, "Just wait, bro. Just wait. 6 hours in the city, you're gonna be screaming for Bradley support." And I remember hearing it over the radio too. But they did a great job. They did. They helped us out a ton.
Yeah. So hey, on that note, we're gonna end this episode. Some show information. We're gonna try to bring back more shows, more episodes per month. We cut way back from what we used to do, which we used to be like maybe a weekly thing, down to right now maybe a monthly episode, just because of this 20th anniversary thing. I'm gonna try to bring back more episodes. Kevin's gonna talk to more people. We're gonna get more people to come on. Our show right now, I don't know if you guys know this, and I've been talking about it to everyone. We're the number 2, and I'm happy to say number 2 fucking veteran podcast in America right now. So
you guys are kicking ass on
yeah, no doubt, man.
websites, I'll take it. All right. It's not like it's not in front of Newsweek magazine or some shit, but hey, we're helping out people, and we can only go up from here, literally just one more spot. So, we can take that shit. Thank you guys so much for coming on for this particular episode. I know this shit was not easy, Matt. Man, thank you so much for telling us your perspective on something that no one else really knew about.
I mean, and you got to think, dude, like these guys, they live on through us, through our memories of them and our retelling of their story. And so it's super important. I'm really glad, like, I know it was hard, dude, and I really appreciate it, man. Like,
yeah, thanks. Well, I appreciate you guys for having me. This is takes a little burden off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah,
hey, if you're gonna talk later, hit somebody up, all right?
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. Yeah.
So,
Johnson, also, I forgot to fucking thank you, because I thanked fucking Tyree, and I thank you also for doing this.
Man. It's all good, man.
So, hey, everyone, thanks for listening to Before I Forget. Please like, listen, share, subscribe, and watch. And we will see you on the next episode. Say bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.